February 3rd. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is. As long as you're not as under the weather as I am. Hello, everybody. My name is Drew Lentz. I'm the wireless nerd, and this is Waves for the week of this past week, last week in January, first week in February 2024. A little bit nasally this morning. That's okay. My camera's doing some weird stuff. It's trying to hunt on my face. See if I can make it focus. Anyway, good morning. This is a little bit overdue, but I wanted to make sure I got something put out this week. I've been a little bit under the weather. It's been really difficult to breathe and talk and whatnot, but I'm trying to get my game face on. I'm hosting an event tonight for the Junior League of McAllen, which is a local group that helps our community and helps support a lot of the things and the initiatives that happen down here in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas, where I live. So I figure, why not start the day off with a nice Waves podcast? Yay! Cue the crowd applause. I don't know if anybody's going to listen live. That's okay, because I want to at least make sure that I get this thing posted on all the podcasts, and I do appreciate all the downloads. Thank you so much. I hit a milestone this past week with the number of downloads that I've had. Really great to see so many people downloading and sending back information and saying, hey, man, we really appreciate everything you're saying. So it's really cool. Forgot to check my mic levels. They look okay. I think I sound okay. I definitely have the face for radio, as they say. But if you can see this video, man, I am rocking this classic I Know HTML t-shirt. My buddy Ahmed decided one day that he thought that would make a good prize for me for a gift. So I appreciate that. Nice little reference to Silicon Valley. Anyway, so there's a couple things I want to talk about. What's new, what's now, what's next in the wireless industry. Right now, there's some new things that have happened that I thought are pretty cool. Definitely cool to pay attention to, especially if you've seen what I've done and where I've been over the last couple of years and some of the projects I've gotten involved in. There was a little bit of consolidation in the industry that seems to be a theme. There seems to be a little bit of consolidation going on overall. Excuse me, pardon me for that. But the one I want to talk about today is Net Experience and Pavlov. Now, this is so cool to me. It was great to see this happening. OpenWiFi, as you know, hold near and dear to my heart. It's an open standards, open source-based project that allows people to leverage equipment and hardware from multiple vendors and multiple contributors to make sure that you can get, a great wireless experience without having to break the bank. And so OpenWiFi has done a lot. When I was at Meta, we did a lot on the connectivity team there to make sure that we had a product that was able to take over the marketplace, for what we were trying to do. And now seeing that Pavlov has made this acquisition of Net Experience, I think that it is awesome. First, the details out of the way. The Net Experience subsidiary will remain based in Canada, which is really, really good to see. My buddy CEO Bernard and CTO, my old friend Marcel. Think about Bel Air Networks for those of y'all that go back to that. Marcel, I'm so happy for y'all. I think that, you guys are going to continue to run that team based out of Canada. It's going to be, its own independent group underneath Pavlov. If you don't know who Pavlov is one of the key players globally in the MDU space. That's multiple dwelling units. So it's apartments, housing complexes, retirement communities, things like that. Pavlov plays a really, really strong game there. And to know that they're moving in the direction of not just embracing open Wi-Fi, but acquiring arguably the top company out there that is making open Wi-Fi compatible equipment, or not equipment, but the software that runs on the AP, the software that runs as the network management service, all of that runs on that open Wi-Fi hardware. If you were at WLPC in Prague last year, not in 2023, but in 2022, you experienced a Net Experience network. That's what we use to deploy on the APs. It's what we use to deploy for the network management side. So it works. We had some of the brightest minds out there in the entire industry who were using it and loving it. And, my challenge to everyone that was there was break it. Show me what's wrong. And we had people from Net Experience there, including Marcel, who were watching this network play out and unfold in the hands of the wireless community live. That was so much fun. That definitely goes down in my mind as one of the top, oh my God, should we have done that questions, but we did it and it worked real well. Net Experience has also been making a whole bunch of waves with what they're doing with the partnerships they have across the world. And so if you pay attention, just type their name into Google and see the partnerships that they have. So to know that they've got a sick round of investment coming in through this acquisition and the building off of Pavlov. I think that it is really great. That's all I want to talk about on the news side. What I do want to talk about now, what's happening is HaLOW is getting some love. Not the video game series from Microsoft, but 802.11 AH. HaLOW just shattered a record. I want to say it was 1.8 miles, so they have it clocked at just around 3 kilometers. It's a megabit per second at 3 kilometers. This is using a very similar Wi-Fi stack on top of 900 megahertz, and it operates in these channels. They're like 1, 2, 4, 8, and I think there's even a 16 megahertz channel width that runs on 900 megahertz. That's from 902 to 928 megahertz. It's old stuff that we used to do, like just telemetry out in the oil fields to get little bits of data. It's super long ranges. 900 meg, burns through trees and it burns through buildings, and it does a great job from a propagation perspective. So to see that the HaLOW component is now getting some great recognition is fantastic. So Morse Micro just had an incredible range test that they did on the beach in San Francisco. The FGH 100M from Kectel is compliant with 802.11ah. Features 21 dB maximum output power on 32.5 megabit maximum transmission rate. So they're saying you can get 32 meg per second in an 8 megahertz channel. When you compare this to LoRaWAN, when you've got HaLOW and LoRaWAN is great at going these huge distances with very, very small amounts of data. 22K per second, I think, is the maximum amount of data rate that you have on LoRaWAN. So when you think about the difference between a meg and 22K, that opens up a whole bunch of different sensors. That's not just the LoRaWAN sensors that are chirping every couple of minutes or every couple of hours or every couple of days. These are things that can dynamically change the way that people think about the data that's coming off of sensors at long range with a very limited amount of deployment. So one antenna, one transmitter, pushing out across 3 miles. Oh man, it's fantastic. Tom's Hardware has a whole write-up about it. They say super long-range Wi-Fi works at a range of 1.8 miles. It's the HaLOW standard. They've got some great little screenshots about where they did. And it was on not like some just remote beach. It was on the beach with buildings and stuff all on the side. So 900 meg is a little bit sensitive to interference. Baby monitors. You've got, old video cameras. You've got old, mobile, not mobile, but phones inside, decked phones and phones inside buildings. Well, not decked, but you know what I mean. So it's been really neat to see what HaLOW is doing, because it's reopening that conversation and reimagining that conversation of long range, low throughput communications. LoRaWAN has been used tremendously well in the world, across the globe, for what it can do at long range with single transmitter. I've got one like right here. I was going to go pull it out, but I guess on a podcast you can't see me pull it out and show it off to you. But Machine Q's using it. I've got a Machine Q transmitter right here, a little gateway. You've got all these different sensors. I've got one that I track golf carts, and there's a golf course across the street. And I did this project where I was tracking their golf carts using LoRa. But now to see that HaLOW is really starting to do something where people are paying attention is incredible. So I'm really excited to see that. I don't know if there's going to be any talk about it at WLPC coming up. I don't think there's any sessions about HaLOW. I could be wrong, but either way, if you're interested in long range, low throughput communications, HaLOW is making its way out there, which is super, super cool. Another thing that's coming out, not long range, but low cost, Ekahau just introduced, this is part of me doing the show a little bit late that is a benefit. Ekahau just introduced yesterday, I believe, Ekahau Measure, a new subscription-based service for Ekahau for $1,300 a year that allows you to do surveying and data collection on your app, where you can enable the Just Go survey mode, the one that you just tap the button and you walk around and you do a survey. You can sync up your project so that guests can see it. It supports all of its software and firmware updates. It works with a Sidekick. A Sidekick is actually, it's a necessity. It's a requirement in order to use Ekahau Measure. But what it does is, for people who aren't doing planning and design and all that side, that side of the RF world, if they're just doing data collection or sending someone out to go do a site survey for them and bring that data in and send it back, this is a great way. It's a lower cost license. We knew something like this was coming. You don't get Hamina coming out into the market and just dropping the price on everything and not think that someone's going to respond. So it took a minute, but here they have Measure, which is an interesting subscription-based model to get into. If you bundle it with the Sidekick 2, it's $49.95, and that includes, it says, free first year of subscription. That's great marketing, guys. It's not the free first year. That's the price of the Sidekick with the price of Measure included. Either way, kudos to Ekahau for doing something that's trying to get out, back in that market. There's been some colorful commentary. Lee Badman, one of my favorite people in the wireless industry, Lee had something to say on Twitter about that, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Definitely looking forward to seeing these folks out at WLPC, and then I actually have a webinar coming up with them on Valentine's Day. So check my LinkedIn. You'll see we're doing a little Valentine's Day webinar with Ekahau. But either way, It's great to see that they're doing something a little bit different. Kudos to Ekahau for getting it back out there. Now that's what's now new is the Net Experience and Pavlov integration, or not integration. You know what I'm saying? The acquisition. Now is what's happening with 802.11ah and HaLOW. Also, what's happening with Ekahau Measure. And next, well, obviously, I'm going to talk about WLPC. We only have 2 more podcasts until WLPC is live, where we're going to be in Phoenix. I don't know if I'm going to go out the week before for the boot camps, but I will definitely make a diligent effort to get out there this year. Things have gotten a little rocky, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be there. We'll see how it goes. That being said, some of the boot camps, if you haven't thought about going to WLPC yet, let me just go over a quick list of the boot camps that are happening. Those are going to start, I believe they start, let me make sure that I don't mess the dates up. The boot camps are the 17th through the 19th of February. And the boot camps right now, Secure Wi-Fi Architecture Masterclass with JJ and Jonathan Davis, Python for Wireless Engineers, Jake Snyder, one of my favorite people in the industry, especially to learn from. Hell of a teacher. Wi-Fi adjustment class with Devin Aiken. Make sure you get a hug from Devin. Rockstar Wireless Analysis with Rasika. Dude, Rasika is like, everybody loves Rasika, so there's nothing that I can say there that no one has said already. Rasika's great. So Rockstar Wireless Analysis, that's part of Rockstar Wi-Fi, so Chris Avance will be out there somewhere. Rasika's teaching this one, though, and Chris is actually teaching the Rockstar Cisco 9800 V2, so you're going to have to pick and choose there. LoRaWAN, Troy. If you don't know Troy Martin, Troy and LoRaWAN go hand in hand, so it's a great time to learn about LoRaWAN. Don't think they're going to be covering HaLOW in there, but we'll see. Hamina Certified Network Architecture Bootcamp with Pete McKenzie, Mr. Peter McKenzie, love him. CWNA 109 with Tom Carpenter, Ruckus Certified Wireless Associate with John Deegan. Avance is teaching the Rockstar Cisco Advanced Wi-Fi Security Bootcamp Real World Defense Against Dark Arts, Phil Morgan. Dude, if you have not taken a Phil Morgan class at WLPC, I would highly suggest that you do. Maybe not the first year, settle in and figure out what WLPC is first. But then, like the second or third time, maybe the third time that you go sit down with Phil and sit through one of his classes, man. They're awesome. I've had the pleasure of sitting in some, and also I've had the pleasure of signing up for some and not having a chance to sit down in them. But Phil's a great guy and so much fun to learn from. And then 6 gigahertz, The Spectrum and You. That sounds like an old education film from like high school, for us that are born in the 1900s. 6 gigahertz, The Spectrum and You. Scott McDermott's laying down the law. It'll be a fantastic show for him. Now, something that I don't know is going to be talked about a lot, and I clicked on the WLAN Pros deal to see about the deep dives, because I really wanted to. I had a customer, a person, a customer, friend, et cetera, asked me a question the other day about MLO and about why it wasn't your typical Wi-Fi 7 ask. It wasn't, hey, how's Wi-Fi 7 going to change the enterprise? How's Wi-Fi 7 going to change education? Blah, blah, blah. It was, hey, this MLO thing sounds fantastic. How in the hell are you supposed to troubleshoot that? If you've got a client device that's using maybe one radio for one thing and maybe one radio for another, and it's downloading on one and uploading on another and multiple packets coming from 2 at the same time, how in the world are you supposed to troubleshoot Wi-Fi links for client devices when MLO is enabled? That was the question that was posed to me. I didn't have a good answer because so much of it's still trying to figure out, what to do. But the first thing that came to mind is the power of AI. This is where that AI conversation holds so much water, because I immediately thought about the Wi-Fi cactus. I thought about Peter McKenzie and antennas all over the back of my laptop. And I thought about, how do you measure, monitor, administrate multiple frequencies all at the same time, doing things with split-second reactions. And without AI, it's going to be, increasingly more difficult to really understand how our troubleshooting procedures are going to take place. So that's something that I'm keen to learn a lot more about, troubleshooting MLO specifically for client connectivity, for packet loss, for things like that. I don't know, like I said, if that's going to be covered at WLPC. I hope it is. If not, that will make a fantastic sidebar conversation for everyone. That being said, let me look at the comments right here. Anders Nelson, Anders, look, as long as a Wi-Fi moose, it was hilarious. He sent a comment in one time while I was doing this webinar and says, the guy with the moose. And everyone was like, who is that? Who's the guy with the moose? I don't know who the guy with the moose is. I was like, clearly you're not that deep of a part of the Wi-Fi industry if you don't know who the guy with the moose is. Anyway, Stu Gourmand is on right now. So Stu, nobody better to talk about Ekahau than Stu. Survey equals just go autopilot, continuous stop and go with GPS. Stu, thank you for putting it in there. Come for Phil Morgan class, stay for the ducky. If you don't have a a Wi-Fi ducky, Phil Morgan is definitely the guy to give it to you. I'm glad to see some interaction we got over here on the chat. It's cool. Sometimes I just sit here on mornings and stare into a blank camera and talk to myself. This reminds me of the old days in radio. You're just talking to a wall and hoping that somebody's listening. But I'm glad to see that people are actually listening, so I appreciate it. That being said, I do appreciate everyone who downloads the podcast. I think Spotify is the number one. The last time I looked, Spotify is the number one. Apple Podcasts is second. So keep on downloading. I love it. Share it with your friends. Do all that good stuff. I will get back to you all next week. Hopefully my head cold goes away. I know you don't listen to me for the sound of my smooth voice, but hopefully I've imparted some good stuff about the Wi-Fi industry this week on Waves. I'm Wireless Nerd. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Get outside. Enjoy the weekend. Next week is a whole new week. Lord only knows what's coming to us, and we're only a couple of weeks away from Nerd Spring Break, WLPC in Phoenix. I hope to see you there. Have a great weekend. We'll see you